Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review, and it's one of them ones that's part of the All the Beer No Idea Oktoberfest beer review series that we're doing. It's Friday afternoon. Hope you've all had a good week and ready to have a good weekend. So, like I say, back with the Oktoberfest themed kind of thing that we're doing here. It's not actually an Oktoberfest beer, but it is actually a brewery that I visited about 6 years ago. And I'd forgot about that when I actually done the unboxing video. I knew I'd had it before, but I totally forgot that I'd actually been there. And the beer we are looking at is from Brauerei Schlosser. Try saying that when you've sloshed. They're out of Dusseldorf. It's German, and this is their Schlosser altbier. And altbier means old beer. And this... I'll tell you all the other stuff first. It's 500ml bottle. It's coming in at 4.8% and probably cost about £3.50. I was going to say £4 then. About £3.50 from Trembling Madness. There we go. I like the artwork on it, but that branding has either changed or, which it must have changed because it's all in German on the back. Because when I went there and I actually bought a bottle back or a couple of bottles back. And it was the old poppy top, and the branding was totally different to that. But I've got to say, I do like the branding of it. Now, like I say, about 6 years ago, I actually went to Dusseldorf with the wife, and we ended up going to Schlosser out a brewery, and it was a very interesting sort of. It was just great. It was just great, you know. I know. Very different to what we have over here. You know, it was a dark place full of wood and dark wood and that, and there were no women serving or nothing. All the waiters were men. The beer, literally, there must have been more than this one, but I'm certain that is all I saw was this beer that you could buy. And they would bring it up in the kegs. It would be on one of them sort of like laundry lifts, if you like. They would pull it up through there, get the keg on the bar, whack a tap in it, and that's how you'd have it. And then the bar was full up of about 300 glasses. And that was literally, the waiters were filling up about 20 glasses at a time. They were only like 200ml glasses. They'd come round. You'd have your beer mat. Every time you had a beer, they'd tick it. You'd pay before you left, and they'd just come round and just keep chucking beers at you. It was a fantastic experience. Anyway, here to do a beer review, nearly 3 minutes in. So that was the brewery I was at. Now, altbier is an old beer. It's pretty much an ale. It uses ale yeast. This is how they used to brew beer before they could bottom ferment beers. So it's very much sort of like an ale, but it's been cold. I'm trying to think what they call it. Cold fermented. Is that I could be wrong here, but cold fermented. So it's sort of fermented or something like a lager. So although it's got ale yeast and this, that, and the other, but it's cold fermented. So it's actually sort of like a German amber ale, as I've seen it described. So let's have a look at this and see what we get. It's been a long time since I tried it. Now I know they use straight glasses, and I know that's not German. It's a Portuguese glass, but we're going for a tall, straight Portuguese tankard. Let me just quickly show you that as well. What a lovely crown as well. I do like that. So, stop talking. I've popped it in the fridge just to get a bit of a chill. It's been out ever since it arrived, really. It's not been in the fridge at all, but I just popped it in for about an hour just to give it a little bit of a chill. Probably not needed. And then I've got it out. So it wasn't in there for long. So yeah, out beers. The only other experience I've got with out beers is the D-balls that used to be on the Perfect Draft, and I quite like that. A lot of people didn't like it. Depends on the sort of style of beer that you like. So stop talking about that one and talk about this one. So there we go. Yeah, looks like an ale, doesn't it? Typical sort of mahogany-ish sort of colour, you could say, copper looking colour. No real carbonation going up, and we got about a finger and a half of mix and match head, but it does look quite a dense sort of head. Slightly off white as well. So I'm going to give it another swirl. We'll dive in with the nose and see what we get. Not a massive amount. Malty note, obviously. A touch of sweetness. You get the hops in there. You get that little hoppy sort of feel to it, that bite. Not really a bite even, it's just that hoppy aroma. It's got that feel of, as you say, amber ale, German amber ale, bitter, like it's got that hoppy sort of feel to it. But not a massive amount going on. So, rather than talk for 3.5 hours, like I normally do, about nothing, we're going to get the rest in the glass. And I remember saying, actually, it's like an ale, the old Diebels one. So I'm expecting this to be like an ale. So there we go. That's what it looks like. So let's dive in on Schlosser Alt. Their Alt beer, 4.8%. Prost. Cheers. Prost. Cheers. Just, let's get it down us. Yeah, and it is very much, I mean, even this one, I mentioned the Schwarz beer that I had yesterday had sort of like an English ale feel. This one, again, feels, it's got that feel of an English ale. I'm going to say it sort of drinks like an English ale as well. I'm not going to say it's a fantastic one, but it has got flavour, you know. %4.8%. You don't expect a massively heavy body. I think this is medium. This is typical sort of 4.8% ale sort of body. I think this is quite light, certainly for German stuff. Probably quite decent for most English stuff. The carbonation is quite busy in there, and you do feel it. Although it's not particularly smooth in the mouth with the carbonation, nor is it really particularly rough. It's just very sort of run-of-the-mill sort of carbonation that doesn't really ruin the beer, but does give it a little bit of a rough edge. That does help push the flavours around the mouth. It does go down quite easy. It's definitely got a bitter feel to it as well. For me, it's quite surprised, because I don't think I ever thought about that when I went to Dusseldorf, but drinking it now, it definitely has that sort of feel with the hops and that. Let's go in again. It is a little bit nondescript, but the flavours are there. The biggest flavour I sort of pick up is the hoppiness and the bitterness that it leaves. And for me, that's where it feels like a bitter. I think there was a touch of sort of like caramel note in there. The maltiness gives a light brown bread sort of feel to it. Hoppy, again, like I say, like a bitter. Goes down well. It's starting to fill me up a bit as well, but I think that's the carbonation in there. The more you drink, the hops are the biggest thing there. And again, repeating myself, like a bitter. That's where it feels more like a bitter, if I'm honest. Amber ale, as they like to call it on the website, or when I searched it. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing there that really sort of blows your mind, if you like. I mean, it is, I keep describing it as a bitter. It's quite hoppy. It's quite strong, really, in hop flavours. It's got quite a bold bitterness, I'm going to say. 4.8%, excuse me. Yeah, it feels like a 4.8% bitter. It's pretty much doing everything it sort of says it's going to do, excuse me. But for a German beer, it's almost, I'm not disappointing. It's not disappointing. But it's very simplistic, shall we say. It's a very simple beer for, you know, for Germans, even compared to their lagers. It seems very simple. It's malty, it's hoppy, it's got a bite to it, and that's about it, really. But it's nice enough. It's not going to appeal to everyone, I don't think. I think if you're one of them that likes your real ales and that, and you like your bitters or whatever, I think you're going to like it. But it doesn't really sort of blow your mind. It's not bad, but nor is it a mind blower. But it's nice to revisit it again. It was certainly, I'm not sure, it probably is pretty much identical to when I had it all them years ago out of the, like, the keg thing, if you like. But I don't know, it feels like it was, but maybe a little bit different. I don't know, it's probably just me. Maybe it's just because it's out of bottle. Anyway, Schlosser out. And their altbier, which is basically a German ale, if you like. 4.8%. I'm going to give it a thumbs up because it's certainly not a shit beer. It's just not as good as I was hoping for. So yeah, if you see it and you like your old school beers, give it a go. If you've had it before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Hope you all have a great weekend. I'm going to do one more beer, which will be up the following day after this one. But yeah, hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the beer that you're drinking. Don't forget, Aldi's got some Oktoberfest beers in. Get some of them in you. That's it for now. I'm going to leave it. See you on my next one. Cheers.